Hey everyone, are you ready to dive into the deep end of the pool with us? Because today we are going to be talking about the afterlife.
Oh, yeah, this is a big one, and we're approaching it from a very unique angle today.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're going to be exploring the afterlife through the lens of Chris Langan, a man famous for his sky-high IQ. Some say it's even higher than Einstein's.
That's right, and Langan's views on the afterlife are deeply connected to his own model of the universe.
A model he calls
The Cognitive-Theoretic Model of the universe. The CTMU, for short.
CTMU catchy.
Right. But what's even more interesting is that the CTMU basically proposes that reality is like a self-processing language, kind of like a giant computer program.
Whoa, okay, so the universe is running on code. That's a pretty wild concept.
It is, and if you think about it, if the universe is essentially a massive computer system, then death takes on a whole new meaning.
You're right. It makes you wonder what happens to our consciousness, to our sense of self, when our physical bodies shut down.
Well, Langan believes that death isn't an ending, but a transition.
A transition to...
Think of it like disconnecting from a virtual reality simulation.
Okay, I'm following.
You're not gone. Your awareness simply shifts to a different part of the system.
So instead of just blinking out of existence, we're moving to another dimension.
Precisely. And Langan even suggests that we might receive a substitute body in this new dimension.
A substitute body, so we're not just floating around as formless spirits.
Not necessarily according to Langan's model. Which brings us to another fascinating question. What happens to all those memories we accumulate over a lifetime?
Yeah, do all those experiences, relationships, everything we've learned just vanish?
Langan believes they don't. He argues that memories are woven into the very fabric of the universe, stored within what he calls the math of reality.
Wow, so like a cosmic hard drive storing all our data.
Exactly. And if that's the case, then maybe there's no need to actively access those memories in the afterlife.
That makes you think. So if we're not reliving our past, what are we doing in this afterlife, according to Langan?
He describes it as a state of deep meditation, a state where we observe the continuous change and evolution of the universe.
Okay, but are we just passive observers in this cosmic meditation?
Not quite. Langan introduces a mind-bending concept called meta-simultaneity.
Meta-simultaneity. Okay, you're going to have to explain this one.
Just imagine, instead of time flowing in a straight line, all of our potential lifetimes, including past and future incarnations, are happening all at once.
So all the chapters of our existence are unfolding simultaneously.
Precisely. We just experience them sequentially in our physical lives because of the limitations of our perception.
That is seriously mind-blowing. Trying to picture all my potential lives happening at the same time. Wow.
It challenges our fundamental understanding of time, doesn't it?
It really does. It makes you wonder what it would be like to exist in a state like that, outside of those limitations.
It's a question that takes us to the very heart of Langan's ideas about the nature of reality and where we fit into it all.
Well, I am definitely hooked. Let's keep going, because I want to hear more.
It's a realm that Langan says transcends our physical and mental limitations. A place where the usual distinctions we make between subject and object observer and observed, they kind of break down.
So it's beyond our ability to really even grasp it with our current way of thinking.
You got it. It's like we need a whole new set of senses and concepts to even begin to wrap our heads around it.
It's humbling and a little awe-inspiring to think about how much is still unknown.
Absolutely. It reminds us of the vastness of the universe and the infinite possibilities that exist beyond our current understanding.
Okay, so let me see if I'm getting this straight. We've talked about Langan's view of death as a transition, the possibility of having a substitute body in the afterlife, and the idea that our memories are stored within the fabric of the universe.
That's right.
We even touched on this mind-blowing concept of meta-simultaneity, where all our potential lives are happening at once.
Yeah.
It's all incredibly fascinating. But I have to ask, if we return to this origin of reality after death, what does that actually mean? What's it like?
That's the big question, isn't it? And honestly, Langan himself admits that this origin, this ultimate reality, is beyond our ability to fully comprehend from our current perspective.
So we're talking about something that's fundamentally outside our current framework of understanding.
Exactly. Langan uses the analogy of a blind person trying to understand color. We simply lack the necessary framework.
I can see that. If this ultimate reality transcends our physical and mental limitations, it would be like trying to explain a symphony to someone who's never heard a single note of music.
A perfect analogy. But even though we can't fully grasp the nature of this ultimate reality, Langan's theories give us a glimpse into its potential vastness and complexity.
It's like he's giving us a key to a door that we can't quite open yet, but the mere existence of that key is enough to spark our curiosity.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the most valuable aspects of Langan's work. It encourages us to push beyond the boundaries of our conventional thinking and embrace those mysteries.
So with all these potential lifetimes happening simultaneously in this meta-simultaneous state, what else can you tell us about what happens after we die, according to Langan? What haven't we touched on yet?
One of the most important things to remember about Langan's theory is that death is not something to be feared. It's not an end, it's a transformation. A continuation of the journey, just in a different form and in a different dimension of reality.
That's a comforting thought, especially since the fear of death is something that's so deeply ingrained in our human experience.
Absolutely. And while some people might find Langan's ideas a bit out there, they do offer a unique and potentially liberating perspective on one of life's biggest mysteries.
I agree. Even if we don't fully buy into every aspect of his theories, I think there's a lot we can learn from his willingness to challenge conventional thinking and to explore the unknown.
Exactly. He encourages us to question our assumptions, expand our awareness, and consider the vast possibilities that might exist beyond our current understanding.
And that's a powerful message regardless of our personal beliefs about the afterlife.
It is. It's about recognizing that there's always more to learn, more to discover, and more to experience even beyond the confines of our physical existence.
This has been an incredible deep dive into Chris Langan's ideas about death and the afterlife. And now I'm really curious to hear what our listeners think about all of this. Do Langan's theories resonate with you? Or do you have a different perspective on what happens after we die? Whatever your thoughts, we encourage you to keep exploring these questions, keep the conversation going.
They really do challenge us to rethink our whole understanding of what death and consciousness even are.
Absolutely. And even if some of his ideas are a little tough to wrap our heads around, the core message is clear: death isn't the end.
Right. It's a transition to a completely different state of being.
And that state of being, according to Langan, takes us back to the very source of reality, a place that's beyond anything we can currently comprehend.
Exactly.
It makes you wonder if the reality we experience now is just a tiny fraction of something much bigger and more complex.
That's exactly what Langan wants us to consider. He suggests that our physical life is just one chapter in a much larger story, a story that goes way beyond the limits of time and space as we know them.
It's like we're just starting to read the first page of a book, and then we realize there are countless chapters we haven't even seen yet.
That's a great way to put it.
So as we're wrapping up this deep dive into Chris Langan's ideas about death and the afterlife, what's the main takeaway you hope our listeners will walk away with?
I hope they come away with a sense of wonder and curiosity about the nature of reality and how we fit into the grand scheme of things.
I think that's a beautiful thought. Even if we don't agree with every detail of Langan's theories, his ideas definitely give us a fresh perspective on some of life's biggest mysteries.
He encourages us to think outside the box and embrace the possibility that there's so much more to existence than what we see on the surface.
And you never know, maybe by exploring these kinds of ideas, we can unlock a deeper level of understanding within ourselves.
Perhaps that's the ultimate goal, to keep questioning, to keep searching, and to keep striving for a deeper understanding of ourselves and the universe we live in.
Well said. On that note, we'll leave you to ponder the mysteries of life, death, and the universe. Thanks for joining us on this incredible deep dive into the mind of Chris Langan. Until next time, keep exploring and keep those deep dives going.